Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. This is going to be my palette ranking for the mid-year point in 2025. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. I like to do a palette ranking twice a year of all the palettes that I've tried so far. Once in early July when we've hit the mid-year mark, and once in January at the end of the year so that I can let you know what I've been trying all year. So today is going to be that mid-year check-in. We're going to be ranking all of the palettes I've tried in 2025 so far. As far as I know, I've taken everything I have reviewed in the past 6 months up here to let you know all of my thoughts. I have tested out 28 different eyeshadow palettes for you in 2025 so far. That is a lot less than I normally do. In other years, I was already hitting like the 40 to 50 palette mark, and a lot of these were sent to me in PR, or I was able to pay for them with commission fees or anything like that. So not everything you see here was paid for with my own money, and I also use all the AdSense that this channel makes to purchase new makeup for myself. So it's definitely something that if I didn't have this channel, I probably wouldn't have this many things. So please bear in mind, and we're gonna go from number 28 to number 1. So in the bottom of this ranking, I of course have to include the 2 palettes that I have already decluttered on paper, but that are still in my house because I need them for videos like this, which is the Weeping Angel from Flower Nose and the So Elemental from Colourpop. So this is number 28 and 27 in this ranking. I can't really pick between these two, which I like less. I mean, they're okay palettes. They just weren't my favorite compared to other things I have in my collection. The Weeping Angel has beautiful packaging. Like, look at this stunning little number. Flower Nose know what they're doing when it comes to making packaging. And here's what the color story looks like. And it's super pretty. It's very reflective. So hello, living room. But what really set me back is that this blue just wasn't any better. And I have a very similar color story from Flower Nose, from their Mermaid collection, that has the same type of shades in that I enjoy about this palette. So I was like, you know, the main reason that I feel like is the standout shade, or should be the standout shade in a palette like this, which is the shimmering blue, isn't really performing the way I would want it to. So therefore, for me, this wasn't really the best, so therefore it ended up in the bottom of this ranking. And a similar thing here with the So Elemental. So Colourpop changed their formula yet again, and the So Elemental has a lot of things going for it. It is cool tone, first of all. It's got a bluish gray undertone, which I happen to love, so a lot of these shades work for me. But I don't like this shade at all. It's a pressed glitter. You're gonna see another Colourpop palette that has a pressed glitter in this ranking as well, but I like that one a little bit better. It has beautiful shades in. I look at this again and I'm like, oh, why am I getting rid of this? But it just wasn't performing the way I wanted it to be when I started putting things on my eyes. I thought that this could be like a nice addition to something like my Cloud 9 that I tried in 2024 and that I really, really loved. That was one of my favorites of the year. So I was hoping that this could be like a nice sort of extension of that. And it just wasn't. And this weird shimmer in the middle, like I said, it's a pressed glitter. It's the bad pressed glitter that Colourpop became known for a couple of years ago. They phased it out and now they've brought it back. So for me, this is not a good thing. I don't mind pressed glitters if they are easy to work with. I have pressed glitters in K-beauty palettes that I like, that, you know, you can still apply with a finger and it sticks down and it has its own binding agent and it's fine. But this one is so gritty and it's just not a good look. It doesn't tend to stick down without using a glitter glue, and for me, that's just a game changer. I want my palettes to be foolproof when I use them. I have way too many palettes to be giving anything like this the light of day. Then another palette where I wasn't wowed by the quality, but I had never tried this brand before, is the Artitude Cosmetics Urban Neutrals palette. So Artitude Cosmetics has been making quite a few waves in the past couple of years. I had never tried them before. They do some beautiful looking color stories, and when they released this Urban Neutrals palette, it had my name written all over it. There were just a couple of things that I didn't like about this. First of all, it's very matte heavy, which of course I knew going into it, so I cannot let that be like the main setback, but I just tend to prefer shimmers over mattes in terms of what I like doing with my eyeshadow. And the 5 shimmers this palette has are really beautiful. I mean, I love this shade here, this like rosy gold taupe. It's so beautiful, but this is a multi-chrome, this is a multi-chrome, this has some sort of shift, and they don't necessarily go with the other colors in the palette because the shifts in them are very different from what the mattes are giving. So for me, the color story didn't quite come together, and it's actually like a shade like this. You can already see a dent. I've only used this for the review, and it was so chunky, and it was like scooping shadow out of the pan, which is not my favorite thing to do. And I thought the mattes were a little bit dry, a little bit dusty, and I've definitely played with better mattes in my makeup experience for sure. So for me, I get the hype. If you like this kind of shadow, I think you can really enjoy it. I'm not going to knock it for that reason, but it just doesn't really go with the kind of preferences that I have when it comes to doing my eyeshadow. And I'm wearing very little makeup actually today because we had a heat wave this week, and in my house, it still feels like we're having a heat wave, even though things have thankfully cooled down outside now. So the next palette is perhaps a little bit controversial, but I did try it this year, so that's why I do want to put it in here. This is number 25, and it's in the bottom for that reason. I was sent this in PR by Monolith, and I had promised my followers that I was going to test out the Ensley Rain Light in Your Eyes when and if it came to Monolith, and then they offered it to me in PR, and I was like, I might as well try it then. And this looks like such a beautiful neutral color story, and it certainly is. It has these like fall-esque sort of richness to it, and then really beautiful shimmers. When it comes to the quality, I feel that here I get better shimmers than, for instance, in the Cold Moon that I tried last year. I enjoy the shimmer formula in this one a little bit more. There are fewer of the very weird flaky things that the Cold Moon has, but there are a couple of things here that made me go like, maybe not for me. And that's mainly the pick for like crease shades. I'm really only getting these two shades, and I don't feel it really necessarily goes with everything that this palette has to offer. Does it have beautiful shades in? Yes. I have just found this is my third Ensley Rain palette, and I know a lot of people love this brand for the amazing shimmers that they do. I just find them big, bulky, cumbersome, and then they have had a heap of controversy over the years that just makes me uncomfortable to keep promoting this brand on my channel. So that's why this is here, because I did try it this year, because I was like, okay, that's not going to be the final thing. And it's just confirmed for me what I don't like about this brand. Like I said, I know there's a lot of people who like this kind of formula. It's, again, just not my favorite. It's a little bit too pigmented almost for what I like going for. The shimmers are incredibly thick as well to go on. So on my eye shape, it just starts to crease no matter what I do. So for me, it's just not my favorite, and I definitely have tried other things this year that I like a lot better. Number 24 is one of the more recent things that I've tried. This is the Haggard Scepter palette, or something along those lines. I'll put the total name in the description box down below. This is Sea Beauty, and it looks really stunning in the pen. Actually, I have nothing really against it, but a similar thing here as with the Artitude and the Ensley Rain. The two shimmers you get in here are really beautiful, but they're pretty chunky, and so picking them up with a brush is really difficult, and this creased on me really badly, even though I like the pinky gray sort of vibe it has. So this, when I tried it in June, just wasn't my favorite for that reason, and I have definitely tried other things, and as beautiful as the packaging looks, this feels like incredibly cheap plastic. So that's why it looks prettier in pictures than it does in real life, I find. So I found this a little bit expensive as well for what I got. And then we have this guy, the Bitten palette from Gourmande Girls. This was, again, a new to me brand that I tried for the first time this year. Did I? Yeah, I did get this one in PR as well. I think this was their Valentine's Day release, and this was also sent to me in PR by Monolith. This is a beautiful color story. It's a little bit warm toned and not as purple as I'd want it to be. And because of the purple background, for instance, this looks like it's going to be green. It's not. It's just a gray when I use it on my complexion. And I think it has to do with the fact that I have a cool to neutral undertone, why I don't like this palette any more than I do. because I think if you have a warm undertone, and especially if you have medium to deep skin, you're probably going to love a color story like this. But for me, it all looked a little bit too intense. And with purples, that can be an issue because purple can be really close to looking like a bruise. So anything I did with this just looked a little too intense for my personal liking. So again, it's nothing against the palette. I think it's a beautiful quality, but I definitely think that I got another Gourmande Girls palette a little bit later that I actually enjoy better because the mattes in this felt a little bit stiff and it was a little bit difficult to blend. So I think there are perhaps batch issues because I haven't had anybody else say this before, that Gourmande Girl shadows can be a bit patchy. Like these skipped if you tried to blend them. It wasn't a good look. But I didn't have that issue with another Gourmande Girls palette I've tried. Then number 22 is going to be the Wicked Widow Tales of Terror or Haunting palette. Again, something that was sent to me in PR and by MONOLITH. And this, I don't think I would have bought this with my own money, which is why it's at the bottom half of the ranking. But I do really enjoy the quality of this. It has really beautiful colors. It's very fall vibes. You get the greens, you get the purples, you get the orange tones. With lots of like shimmers that go with it really well. You can do an all green look with this. You can do like a neutral look with a pop of color. You could do an all purple look if you'd want. You can go for an all orange look if you want. And that means that this palette just has a lot of options. That's what I like about this. I also really like the shimmer formula in this. I really enjoy the mattes in here too. Yes, as it's going to give you a very glammed up look. I'm not a huge fan of the oranges in this palette because orange is not my shade, trust me. But there were some beautiful shimmers in here and this palette really surprised me with how good it is. It's just not the kind of color story that I tend to gravitate towards. So even though this is now in my collection, it's probably going to stay there for a while. But this is not something I would have picked out for myself at all. And to round out this first part of the ranking is the Colourpop Twilight palette. I was a bit of a twihard back in the day. And Twilight, when they did that collab, I knew I wanted to try. Of course, they're now like doing all the movies, it seems, because they've done a new Moon collection since then. That's my least favorite Twilight book and movie, actually. Eclipse has always been my favorite. So if that collection ever comes, I may be tempted just a little bit again. But here we have what the color story looks like. It really nicely goes with those very desaturated blue tones you get in the movie, in the first one. So you get those greens and those blues. This also has like these really flaky, glittery sort of things like in the So Elemental. But it's really only one shade up here and I can't ignore it. Like if I don't use that shade, I can still make this palette work. So that's why this one is ranked higher than the So Elemental. But because it has those kind of frustrating shades in, I couldn't rank it any higher. I'm terribly sorry. But if you're looking for like a cool, neutral color story with pops of color that are muted and have a gray base, this is absolutely wonders. I really enjoy the color story and we all know it. I love a good taupe, so that's my favorite shade in the palette. So that means we're heading into the second part of this ranking, which is numbers 20 to 11. If I then start with number 20, I would like to rank the Dieverune Witch of the Wildflower palette here. This was another fall release. I bought this with my own money. Dieverune Cosmetics is a brand I hadn't tried before yet. And I sort of bought it at the end of 2024, so it came into one of the first reviews of the year. This is really beautiful. It's sort of like whimsical forest vibes. That's the way I think of it. What I didn't love is this really flaky shimmer in the middle. I'm not sure if the camera picks up on it, but you can see it has two sides. And one of them is easier to pick up than the other, which is a bit frustrating. And I feel you also get more of the one shade than the other in the pan. So it's just not really usable. The Ensley Rain palette actually also has one of those split pans. But yeah, you have one that has more of like an orange flash and one that has a bit more of a bluish green flash. If that shade had just been the bluish green flash, I would have liked this palette a million times more. The purple and the pink, ones blended on my lids, they didn't really look that distinct. They just looked pink on my lids, to be fair. But it has beautiful color story and it has some beautiful shimmers in. Now that I've tried them though, I don't feel I want to buy any more from this brand. I feel like what they can do pretty much is summed up in this palette, so I'm no longer curious after what else this brand has to offer, and that's why it's ranked in the number 20 spot. The Flower Nose Black Swan palette. This is really pretty, again with the beautiful packaging. Flower Nose just knows how to do it. The reason why this is ranked in the number 19 spot is because it is simply a one-trick pony. I don't think this palette is going to give you heaps of different looks. You essentially have, again, sorry for the reflection, a matte red, a matte white, a matte sort of really deep, like it's borderline black, but not quite, and like a nice deep charcoal gray, a silver shimmer, and a pink shimmer. Yeah, it's a white with a pink shift, I should say. The silver is really lovely. It's sort of the same formula as in the one in the Weeping Angel, but this does have color payoff. I don't know what they did there. The mattes are beautiful. You can definitely do some looks in, and I like how the black-gray sort of vibe pairs with the red. That's what makes this palette a little bit more unique in my collection, combined with the gorgeous packaging, of course. But it's 6 shades. I'm probably going to be doing the same thing with this for the rest of my life. Put the gray in the crease, put the black as liner, make the silver shimmer, the center shimmer all over the lid. I'm going to put that white with the shimmer in the inner corner. I'm going to use that other white matte as a bit of a blending shade. And the red is probably just going to be my bottom lash line thing. So it's a one-trick pony, which is why I don't want to rank it any higher. Number 18 then is going to go to the Adept Emo palette. The first Adept palette I've actually tried in a long time that I feel positive about, because a lot of the Adept palettes, like with the Ensley Rain, I didn't love the formula. Very often the color stories don't come together for me because I don't get the mattes I want to go with the shimmers. Adept is of course known for their shimmer formula. A lot of their palettes only had like 1 or 2 mattes when they first started, and then a bunch of really good multi-chrome and like duochrome shimmers. They now do holographic shimmers as well, so that's why I wanted to try the Emo. I don't love the yellow, like the gold in here. I just don't like golds like that at all. It has some beautiful shades in, but again, they do these really wonderful holographic shimmers. No, this way around, sorry. So this one, and this one are the holographic shimmers, but these two are too dark for me to use. They don't show up. You can't see the sparkle once they go onto my lids, and they are too dark for me to use them all over the lid. I'm just going to look like I was punched in the face. So that's one of the downsides here, but it has some other gorgeous shimmers in. Again, not a really good crease shade for me, maybe 1 or 2. That's another downside here. So I like this a lot more than I have tried with other Adept palettes. Another reason why I don't want to rank this any higher is because I have had a bad experience with an Adept palette expiring on me just really quickly. My Minka, I have the old version, expired on me super quickly, and that's another thing why I do not want to rank things like this, like the Ensley Rain and this, to rank it really high, because they look really beautiful and impactful when you first purchase them, but they both brands, and also Dieverune and some other, the Artitude, they have these really creamy emollient shimmers in, and based on my experience with the Minka that also had a lot of those shimmers in, I think that's why that palette expired so quickly. And I'm very afraid with how long this will last in my collection in the end, because as beautiful as it looks, as beautiful as the looks turn out, with palettes this expensive, because this isn't cheap, I don't want palettes to expire within a year, year and a half. As someone who has had eyeshadow palettes in their home for more than a decade that haven't expired, I know it's not me not using the shadow correctly or contaminating it in some way or another. I have palettes who have been fine for decades. I can still use my original Naked 2 palette on my eyes if I want to. I don't want to because the thing is 15 years old by now, so we're not gonna. But this, if it doesn't keep well and it expires super quickly, then why would I be spending this much money on an eyeshadow palette if I can get eyeshadow that is cheaper than this, that's gonna give me the same effect, but that is going to last me a couple of years. You know what I mean? You don't need shimmers in this formula to have really impactful shimmers. You will see a couple of examples in the top 10 for sure. So the formula is really the issue that is the big letdown for me here. Number 17, and this may come as a bit of a surprise, but the Green Goddess from Bella Beauty Bar. I have been raving about Bella Beauty Bar ever since I tried and loved their Poison Garden last year. And this also has those like emollient shimmers in. Here, again, I don't know how long these are going to last, but the main reason why this is quite low is because it's not as green toned as it looks. For a palette that is called Green Goddess, and to have the greens look more like grays, I'm not sure how I feel about that. We get some stunning neutrals here. We get a little bit of warmth, and then 9 cool tone green shades that sort of bridge that gap between like a cool tone gray palette. That's what you get, a cool tone gray. A cool tone green palette is what I would call it. It has a couple of really beautiful shimmers in where the shifts actually go with the cool tone level of this palette, which is another thing I dislike a lot about like Adept palettes and Ensley Rain palettes, is that you get these really beautiful cool tone mattes and then all the shimmers have this warm shift. Kind of defeats the point, but with this that's not the case. There's only one shade in here, I feel maybe 2, that have that really flaky sort of emollient formula. It's especially this one, maybe a little bit of this, but this I feel is a lot less flaky when you pick it up. It just looks flaky from the way it's been pressed. But here you can see as well, like I just took out a chunk upon first use because that's what stuck to the brush, which I think is a bit of a letdown actually when palettes do that. So again, another reason to not rank this in the top 10, even though I do like this formula a lot. The color story was a little bit unexpected, and also that really flaky shimmer thing. I just wish indie brands would stop doing it. Number 16 then is going to be the Lovers palette from Cosmic Beauty. This was sent to me in PR as well. The Green Goddess I think I got as a PR gift too. I'm not always sure. I'll make sure to put stars behind the name of the palettes that I was gifted, so that way I don't have to keep saying it. But here we have that color story. It looks beautiful. This is not something I picked up myself. Everyone who got PR that month actually was just offered this palette. It's got neutrals. We get these like pinky purples. We get bluey teals and greenish grays in, grayish greens in here. Beautiful color story. I was surprised at how good these came together. Actually, I say I was surprised, but I shouldn't be because I love Cosmic Beauty formula. So this is one of those brands where I'm like, this shows me that you can do things that are like multi-chromes that have a little bit more sparkle to them, but without having to make them these really flaky, messy things that might expire super quickly. So this palette definitely does that. I like the sort of muted colorfulness this has, but it's not unique in my collection. I just feel that this palette is too similar to other things I already have, and therefore I didn't want to rank it any higher. Number 15 then is a palette I tried out for you in June. This is the Dancing Lights by Glossgots. This is another really beautiful palette. Say it with me. It's blue, green, and purple, sort of more pastel leaning. And this was the first time that Glossgots really did many more multi-chromes in their palette. They have several old shimmer palettes, but those usually are duochromes and like just one multi-chrome or something, but here I feel we get several. They have also started doing these flaky shades, but with Glossgots, I've had some of my palettes that also have these like flaky things in for longer than I've had some of my Adept things, and those are still fine. So I know that this is probably going to last a longer time, and Glossgots is also a little bit more cost effective, at least for me being in Europe. Glossgots are Swedish, so for me it's not going to break the bank to get these. This palette, because it is 15 pan, is more expensive than their regular 12 pans are, which I feel is a bit of a shame. Of course you do get more shades, but I don't feel that this is like a very different or special formula compared to their 12 pan palettes that they've done before. And yet they are charging 15 euros more for 3 additional shades, which I think is a bit steep. We get some pastel mattes in here. The only matte that didn't perform the best is the green in the middle. That one like dusted away into nothing a little too easily. But other than that, it was a really beautiful palette. I was really pleased with what the looks turned out to be when I was using this. There is an unexpected element to this, and not just because it is multi-chromes and like shifty things and it has all that, but also because the mattes were actually true to color. Sometimes with these kind of colors on my skin tone, they can muddy up together really easily because I have a cooler undertone, and sometimes those bright things with a white base, if they are made more so for warm skin tones, I feel that they don't look right on me. But with this, it was spot on every time. Number 14 is the Frozen Kiss from Gourmande Girls. And this one I liked a lot better. When I tried this, I was like, yep, I get the hype. Gourmande Girls can definitely do really good eyeshadow. Here, I didn't have any issues with things skipping on me. It's just not a winter palette for me. I know it was promoted in the winter time. It was a Christmas release, but on me, it's a spring palette. It's colorful. It has pastel shades in. It has some beautiful shimmers in. But it's just not wintry enough for me. If I think winter, I want cool tones. I want pinks. I want lilacs. I want baby blues. I don't want a warm neutral. It's a beautiful neutral and it's a great crease shade. Don't get me wrong. But this, like, it's just, there's just something about it that didn't scream winter to me. So I tried it in the springtime and I thought it was really pretty. I was able to pull some stunning looks out of it, which is why this one is ranked higher than the Bitten. But I have decided for myself as well, Gourmande Girls, they do really pretty things. I get sucked into their color stories all the time, but I've tried them now, and I kind of feel like unless they do something earth-shatteringly different from anybody else on the market, I may still be interested, but I've tried them, and I feel okay, and this was not top 10 material. Then we have the Glam Shop Cool Glam Quad. This is the number 13 spot, and this is really beautiful. I really liked it. This is part of the Glam Shop sort of promotions that they're doing with the little quads. They did a couple of them last year, they continue with this year, and they did this really nice little quad. It is essentially like similar to like the Viseart quads, I would say. You get 2 mattes, 2 shimmers, both like different in depth. In here, I feel that you get enough variety with these 2 gray tones. It's really pretty. They aren't that magnetic though, which is a bit of a shame, and I have had the experience with Glam Shop shadows that when they dry down a little bit, because again, these shimmers are also pretty emollient, when they dry down, they can fall out of the pan, and you can stick them back in, but they will no longer stay in place. And this packaging is like, it's not the most sturdy thing ever. It looks really pretty, but I think that this is not going to last a very long time in my life. It is beautiful though. I felt really pretty with this look. It's like a nice little sort of smoky, silvery eye. Really beautiful on. Glam Shop does some amazing things, but there's another Glam Shop thing that if you saw my reviews, you know I like a little bit better. Number 12 is the Steel Heart palette from Cheer. So this is another Sea Beauty brand. And this is so beautiful, but again, a little bit matte heavy for my liking. You only get 4 true shimmers. They are beautiful shimmers, but they are a little bit deceiving in the palette because they all look deeper than the way they apply to the lids, which is a bit of a shame. It's essentially a gray, taupey, lavender, pink sort of leading color story. So it has a little bit of all of those 3 things in. So a beautiful cool tone color story with a pop of pink. That's the way I would really characterize it. And this palette spells it out for you. You can use little quads together, you can do 6 or 5 shades together, and you will always come up with a look that is going to work because the color story is just so cohesive. So this is beautiful, some beautiful shimmers in this, and Cheer palettes have been getting a little bit cheaper in the past year or so, I find. Number 11 then is my other Gloss Gods palettes I've tried this year, the Vintage Glam. This came back in stock for Black Friday, and that makes me very hopeful that they will be bringing back another palette that they once did in the winter time. This came out originally together with the New Neutrals remix, but this one sold out before I could test that one out and try it, and it was the first time me trying the brand, so I didn't want to overdo it because I wasn't sure whether I was going to like it. So this is definitely different in terms of formula compared to the Dancing Lights because you don't get those flaky shimmers in, but this is fine for me because all of, like, do you see how that catches the light? It's so beautiful. It's so incredibly beautiful. Some like taupey things in here. There are these light lilac things, and then you have these like warmer peachy tones. It's so beautiful for the springtime. It has the Gloss Gods formula I like. I think if I had tried this 2 years ago, though, it could have been in the top 10. But now I just have so many other things that I like better. So that's why this is not quite top 10 material this time around. Top 10 time. So this is the final part of our ranking. Number 10 is going to go out to the Sinensis palette by Girl Cult. This is another Sea Beauty brand. They do some beautiful things. And this last June, I tried this little palette guy, and yes, it's an all shimmer palette, and I don't normally am a fan of all shimmer palettes, but this just shows you that you can do really good sparkly holographic shadows that aren't that super weird emollient sort of formula. So this just shows you that. I did a look with this that I really enjoyed. It's a bit of a one-trick pony for sure, and this, I mean, I got it on a sale or something because I don't remember paying 30 euros for this quad. It is more expensive than their other quads though, I have found that, because I think because of the different formulas that are in here. So it is a little bit more expensive, but you can find huge sales on YESSTYLE a lot. And I did pay with my YESSTYLE commission fee for this. So whenever you post an order, whenever you place an order on YESSTYLE and you use my code, I can make a little bit of money. Same thing goes for MONOLITH, actually. I have a code with them as well. But if you use those and I make a little bit of money on YESSTYLE, I can actually choose whether they pay me that money or whether I can just place an order and use the money in my account to sort of make it a little bit cheaper, or maybe even get the order for free if there's a lot of money in there. So that's definitely how I got that palette into my possession. So there are ways to definitely get things a little bit cheaper if you have points on YESSTYLE as well. You can definitely get things for cheaper, and they do sales very often where, you know, it's this little countdown with when you're going to get the money off. So that's definitely worth looking into if you if you were to look into that palette. Another palette I enjoyed from that same order was this Gelas palette. This is the Chameleon eyeshadow palette, and this is so beautiful. Again, with this really beautiful reflective multichrome in there. Do you see that shift? It's so beautiful. And again, not too thick, not too heavy. This is great if you want a more neutral look, but you do want to incorporate multichromes with it. You get 2 mattes in here, 2 shimmers. It's a really pretty sort of grayish purple color story, and I felt so pretty the day I wore this that it deserved the number 9 spot in this year's midway ranking. Number 8 is going to go to Blend Bunny's Beauty Below palette. This is a palette that really surprised me because when it was announced, it didn't tickle my fancy at all. But then I was offered it by MONOLITH, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I can give it a whirl. It looks really dark because it's supposed to be like, what if mermaids are evil sort of side of mermaids. It just works so well. You get essentially 6 quads. And once I figured that out, and I just did a quad, like a look with every quad that is in here, it just made so much sense to me. The shimmers in here were sometimes a little bit difficult to work with, in the sense that, for instance, this pink shimmer is just not that shimmer heavy. It's more like a satin, so that was a bit disappointing sometimes. But the looks I did with this were so high up there. And I feel I'm finally getting some more shimmers from Blend Bunny, which is such a good thing because Blend Bunny, as beautiful as their palettes are, I feel like their color story can be so satisfying because of the layout of the different palettes that they have. But you usually get like 1 shimmer in every row, and here you at least have, I think every quad has 2 shimmers in, which is a lot for them. And I believe this, because it's very heavy, I believe this is now also magnetic. Number 7 then is going to be another Cheeriette palette. This is the Jump for Joy or Lust for Life. I can find different names for this palette on different websites, and I don't speak Chinese, so I can't read the characters on the back, so I don't know what this is actually called. I can just go by what YESSTYLE tells me, I guess. And this is a pink tone palette, which I think is so pretty. Last year, I was really on the hunt for a good pink tone palette, and this gives you every sort of shade of pink you could want. You get warm tone pinks here, you get cool tone pinks here, and it just has everything I need. So it even has a pop of green, which May look like a bit of a curveball that this palette throws you, but it's really pretty. You get 6 shimmers in here, so a little bit more than the Steel Heart. The Steel Heart I really like as well for the more everyday things, but if I want to go for that whimsical, ethereal, Asian beauty pink look, this is the palette for you. Like, if that's what you're looking for, then this is gonna work. Why are we all of a sudden a little bit dark? It's a little bit brighter. I think there's just clouds in front of the sun. That's why the lighting is suddenly very, very different. And then in the number 6 spot, I have the Flower Nose Strawberry Rococo palette. That's what this is called, right? Star Moon Strawberry. And this is so beautiful. It's like pastels. It's very sort of spring-like. We get 2 really beautiful shimmers here on the end, 3 mattes. It's that pinky, purpley, whimsical sort of thing that I like to wear in the springtime. This is very, very easy to use, so easy to blend. The mattes are incredible. The shimmers are really beautiful. And look at the color story. Like, oh, the packaging of this is just so, so beautiful. It's so, so cute. And here's the color story again. I just really like this palette. And that brings me to the top 5. So let me get to the Nomad Après-Ski Chamonix, or Chamonix Après-Ski. I always mess up the name. I keep this palette in the box because I keep all my Nomad boxes. This is the only one that's not like different from the actual cover. But this also has just like cardboard, so I'm afraid to get it dirty. So that's why I keep it in the box. And this is beautiful. I almost didn't buy this. And I could hit myself in the head for not buying this any sooner. You get these pinky berry tones, you get greens, and you get purples. Really, really beautiful. The purpley bluish sort of periwinkle vibe just really goes. The greens are beautiful. These look very berry in the palette, but on me they turned much more pink toned, so it was beautiful. This was 3 looks, and you get a full like column of shimmers for each color, and then a full row of mattes, so you have tons of options. And these colors mix and match really well as well, I find. Some beautiful shimmers in here. Nomad has one of the easiest to work with formulas on the market. So if you're a beginner in makeup and you're looking for indie brands to try, I wouldn't go with an Adept or whatever. I would go with Nomad. They're also not that expensive compared to other brands I find, but they do like 18 pan color stories that really nicely come together with really beautiful, easy to use mattes and shimmers that may need a little bit of building up and layering, but that's my vibe. I just really like having a lot of control with my shadows, which is why I love the Nomad formula and this color story. So far, I think it's one of their best ones, and I almost passed up on it. Who am I? Number 4 is gonna go to the Crème de la Crème by Glam Shop. So Glam Shop is another EU-based indie brand. They're Polish though, so again, a little bit easier for me to find and therefore not that expensive for me to buy as well, even though their shipping fees have gone up a little bit. And these are, I think their 15 pan palettes are, what, 35-ish euros? And this is such a beautiful neutral color story with a pop of rosy pink. It's really beautiful. It has hints of warmth, but it's overall mostly a cool neutral leaning palette, and then you just have those rosy tones in. This is beautiful. It goes super light, but you also get the darkness here with a full-on black and a black shimmer, so there is enough contrast if you do want to deepen things up and use it that way. We have beautiful taupe shades in here. It just has so much going for it. The shimmers in here are mainly like, I would call them satin metallics more so than anything else. So they do have shine, but they're not the most shiny things on the planet. Like if the light catches it, you can see there's shine there, but it's not like boom kapow metallic shimmer. You know what I mean? So that's why I like to call them satin metallics, because they do have a metallic-y quality to them, but it's very soft and subtle and sophisticated. So this is the kind of palette that you're gonna like if you like more natural, more neutral looking things, and that's definitely where my heart lies. So the minute this dropped, I knew I would probably like it, and I wasn't wrong. Number 3 is the Harvest of Souls. This is by Fantasy Cosmetica. This was one of their fall releases last year, but I only got to try it this year. You get greens, you get blues, you get this like goldeny berry sort of tone, and then you have these purples here. This was really good. I tried some other things from Fantasy Cosmetica in 2024 before I actually bought this one, and those were my favorites. So I was a little bit nervous about this because, for instance, the Enchanted Autumn I felt wasn't the Fantasy Cosmetica quality that I was like used to, that I know them for. But Fantasy Cosmetica is one of my favorite indie brands. I like a lot of their 9-pans, and they have been doing these bigger things, mainly as limited editions, it seems. And this, it's such a beautiful grungy color story. This is really lovely. I need to start using this in the fall time, I think. I need to go back to this very soon because it is just that good. I just want to use it all the time. Really beautiful color story, a little bit more unique. That's what Fantasy Cosmetica does, I find. And the formula, I know them for. Number 2, is it any surprise that when a brand is one of my favorite eyeshadow formulas on the market, that it's going to be ranked this high? It's the Natasha Denona I Need a Warm. This was gifted to me by Esther, a friend of mine. She was like, oh, I've got an extra one. And this was still on my to-try list. I was like, do I want this? Do I not? I wasn't sure. Because it is a warm tone palette. But it's not the most warm tone palette on the planet, I find. Sure, this little quad here is very warm tone. But if I cover that up, you see that this is very neutral. So I feel like I felt about the I Need a Nude, which some people were calling a cool tone palette. There was like perfect smack in the middle neutral, actually. So if that's a truly smack in the middle neutral palette and you go one step up in terms of warmth, you get the I Need a Warm. That's just the way I feel about this. Yes, it has warmer undertones, but I felt the looks came together really beautifully. It's the Natasha Denona eyeshadow formula I know I love. This is the warm tone palette that I feel still works for me a lot. So that's just why this is the number 2. And of course, it has that beautiful Natasha Denona formula that I just adore. Chef's kiss. This was so on point. Not really my color story, but it surprised me in a good way. And then the best palette I've tried so far, Bella Beauté Bar and Sassy Fairies, Realm of Fairies. This is really beautiful. It's blue, purpley, gray. That's the way I feel about this. And it has a lot of those multi-chromes, a lot of shifty shades, but without the warm flashes. This is so, so good. It has so many really good things in. It goes super dark, but it also goes super light. I have enough to play with here in terms of like crease shades and stuff. I can do so many different things in here. And I feel that this half of the palette leans more blue periwinkle, and this side of the palette is more gray purple leaning. So you get some really beautiful shades in. There's enough here to deepen things up with, to use as liner. The shimmers are beautiful. Nothing here is like super duper flaky. Like you get some flaky-ish shades in, but nothing as flaky in some of the other palettes. So I really like this, and this is such a good cool tone color story. You guys know that about me. I like my cool tones, so that's why this was gonna win from the Natasha Denona any time of day. But yeah, I really like that I Need a Warm palette as well. So those were the eyeshadow palettes that I've tried this year so far. Let me know in a comment down below. What eyeshadow palettes have you been testing out so far? I would love to know. So thanks so much for stopping by. Stay tuned for August as well. We're going to be doing loads of eyeshadow palette related content then. But I make several videos every single month all about eyeshadow palettes. So if you're an eyeshadow junkie like I am, then definitely stay tuned on the channel because there will be more. For now, all you need to do is thumbs up the video and subscribe if you aren't already, because I do post 4 videos a week on the channel, and then I hope to see you again really, really soon in a new video. Bye-bye.